three-point lighting system is a widely used studio light structure in the film and photography industry. While it sounds difficult, it is actually a super simple way to get professional-looking lighting that shows your viewers you really know what you're doing. There are 3 lights in the three-point lighting system that all serve a different individual purpose: the key light, the fill light, and the hair light. When they come together, they complete the full effect. But before we get started on these lights, we need to understand lighting intensity first. You can adjust lighting intensity by adjusting the barn doors. Wide barn doors make the light more diffuse as it covers a wider surface. This will create less of an intense look. Closing the doors slightly will cause the light to be more concentrated and less diffuse, resulting in a higher intensity. And by closing the doors really tight, the lighting is super concentrated and directional, causing a really intense lighting effect. All of this leads us up to step 2, positioning. The first light we need to place is the key light. This is your main light source and the most prominent on your subject. The key light is always positioned in front of the subject, projecting directly onto it. The barn doors should not be all the way open but closed slightly. This is because you want the lighting to be prominent but not too intense. Always adjacent to the key light is the fill light, which gets its name to fix that exact problem. This light is used to fill in the harsh shadows created from the key light. It is positioned in front of the subject but opposite from the key light. You can find the specific and correct angle by adjusting the angle of which it's positioned until the shadows visibly disappear. The barn doors should be wide open and the light intensity knob can even be turned down, or additional diffusers can be placed in front of this light because it's meant to be much softer. Technically, you could stop there and have a properly lit subject, but optionally you can add a backlight to your subject that really helps it pop from the background. It is important to move your subject forward away from the background to remove the possibility of their shadow being casted onto the background. The last light contradicts the 2 previous lights in the sense that it is placed behind the subject and the barn doors are closed tightly to get the maximum amount of intensity from the light. This works because we are aiming to highlight a much more specific aspect of the subject. As you can see, all of the lights are positioned higher, angling down to force the shadows downward on the subject. Now it is time for the effect. With the key light alone, you can see we have a prominent light source on the subject. However, with the key light alone, heavy shadows are casted on the left side of the subject, and we lose a lot of dimension. With the fill light added to the key light, you can really see how the heavy shadows have lifted from the left side of the face. Individually, the fill light would ultimately not create a very well lit subject, and that's because it's weaker and more awkward since it is diffused. The hair light adds a simple detail that really works to pop the subject from the background. As you can see with the 3 lights, our lighting has come a long way from the original key light that we first set up. In contrast, we have created a much more cohesive lighting setup that gives our subject more dimension and contrast from the background. To review, the three-point lighting system is a simple lighting setup that consists of 3 lights: the key light, the fill light, and the hair light. As you have noticed, their names contribute to their purpose. The key light is the key source of light, with partially open barn doors and a position in front of the subject. This is like the fill light that fills in the shadow of the key light, which has wide open barn doors to cast a more diffused intensity. Both of these lights work with the hair light that has the most intense and directional lighting, with compacted barn doors and a position behind the subject. And there you have the basic three-point lighting system that is commonly used throughout the film and photographic industry.